Where is everybody? Oh, really? Just have a martini.
Welcome back to Recap IT. Today we are going to recap a 2002 romantic comedy titled Swept Away. A haughty rich housewife and her shipmate get stranded in a thunderstorm. Suddenly, the rules governing their relationship change when she has to depend on her shipmate for survival. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now, without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? A group of people board a private plane from New York, and a captain greets them at the start of the film. Luxury cars are waiting to pick up passengers when the plane lands. Amber, a very arrogant woman, is one of the two passengers in front of the group. Her pride and arrogance about her husband Tony's wealth was palpable. Amber is irritated when they arrive at the harbor and see the ship they will be taking. Tony assures her that everything will be fine. The captain of the ship greets them all warmly, but Amber is dismissive of them. Pepe, a crew member, is enraged by her attitude and the captain's treatment of her, but he is ordered to take her to her cabin. Pepe says he'll bring the gym to her when she inquires about it. She screamed at her husband because it was just an exercise bike. Pepe responds by bringing a jump rope and threatening to strangle the captain. Debbie, another passenger, talks enthusiastically about the trip from Greece to Italy over dinner. The other guests mock her before Tony arrives in his casual attire. Amber is irritated because they agreed to all dress up for dinner. Pepe tells the captain in the kitchen that he can handle Amber, but the captain claims that the job is well compensated. Except for Amber, all of the guests are swimming. Pepe tries to be nice to her, but she is terrible. Amber later debates capitalism versus communism, then money and fame, while riding her bike. Pepe tells the captain that she is rude and heartless after listening. She snaps her fingers at him, yelling for water and a towel. Despite his reservations, he agrees. Pepe later intervenes to prevent two crew members from spying on the female guests while they sunbathe, but he keeps an eye on them himself for a while. Amber notices this and treats him terribly the rest of the day. Pepe snaps and throws the bowl over Amber's head after she complains about the food at breakfast. She screams for Tony to act, but Pepe warns him not to and then tosses Amber into the water. But it was all a dream, and he returned it to the kitchen. The kitchen staff tastes the food and declares it to be satisfactory. Regardless, the captain orders them to re-cook it. When he goes to Amber to apologize, she asks if they are being punished for their wealth. Of course not, he says. The other guests leave Amber behind the next day to go cave hunting. She insists on accompanying him, and Pepe is ordered to accompany her. Despite the fact that he believes it is a bad idea due to the distance and current, he agrees. The engine breaks down as they approach the cave. Pepe makes a futile attempt to restart it. Pepe assures Amber that he warned her about the current. Even though night has fallen, they are still afloat. Amber is furious. Amber wonders why her friends haven't come to find her yet the next morning, and Pepe explains that the sea is a large area. Amber then discovers a flare gun. Pepe later catches a fish and offers it to Amber raw to eat. She finds it repulsive and discards it. Pepe is irritated because catching it took him hours. They notice a ship off in the distance. Amber attempts to fire the flare gun, but when it fails, Pepe tries to take it from her. They fight, and a gunshot pierces the inflatable boat. Amber screams vehemently. As the sun sets, a storm approaches, and they cling to the deflated raft. Amber's spies land the next morning when they wake up. Pepe continues climbing and discovers that they have arrived on a small, uninhabited island. Amber calls him a hairy, worthless midget and refuses to believe that this location could be deserted. Pepe yells at her before storming away. Pepe comes across a hut and sets up a small camp, making tools and collecting water. Amber sneaks up behind him and steals his water as he leaves to go spearfishing. He notices her when he returns, and she gives him a smug smile. He has, however, caught and is eating a lobster, and Amber is envious. She promises to pay him for his fish, but Pepe says he's not interested in her money. Amber slaps him and tells her that he is now the boss after she throws sand at him. He tells her to wash his clothes first, then he'll feed her, and that she must now address him as master. He gives her his filthy laundry to wash. He asks her to fill his bottle with water before giving her a piece of lobster when she returns. Amber tries to get into his shed, but he won't let her in. He refuses to let her in, claiming she is freezing and won't be able to sleep another night. He orders her to clean his room the next morning when she wakes up. Pepe warns Amber that if she disobeys him again, she will be punished, just as she was on the ship. Later, they go fishing together, and Pepe catches an octopus, which she throws away because she is scared. Pepe insists on her waiting for him, so she goes to sit down. He reminds her that he is now her master, and he commands her to sing and dance for him. They begin fighting the next day, and Pepe pursues her. On the sand dunes, they fight, and he holds her down. Amber eventually gives in to his demands, but he then abandons her, telling her that he must first fall in love. Amber later sits contemplatively on a rock. She brings home some firewood the next morning, and they become physically attracted to each other. On the beach, they had a great time together. She gets permission to sleep in the shed eventually. They appear to enjoy each other's company more as time passes, and she improves her survival skills. Amber notices a boat while collecting firewood one morning but decides not to call out for it. That night, it starts to rain, and Pepe finds a bottle of whiskey and starts drinking. Amber takes some as well, and they both begin to enjoy it. Amber tells Pepe she loves him the next day while repairing fishing nets. If they hadn't been shipwrecked, Pepe believes she would have remained the same. Amber later captures an octopus on her own and gives the eggs to Pepe. Amber tosses the eggs at Pepe, who chases her down. Her skills and attitude improve as they spend more happy times together. They wake up on the beach together later and notice a boat off the shore. Amber begs him not to call out, but Pepe insists that if she loves him, she must show it in the real world. The two are eventually rescued. Amber's rescuers inform her that her husband is on his way to meet her. Tony thanks Pepe for his assistance at the harbor. Pepe walks away to the bar while Tony embraces Amber. A man approaches him and offers him a large sum of money. The man is pushed out, but Pepe does not return with the bag containing a large sum of money. Pepe goes to a jeweler and purchases a ring with the money. Amber and Tony check into the hotel, where Amber gets a call from Pepe. Pepe tells Amber that he loves her and that they need to work out their differences. Amber tells him to leave a note at reception telling her what she needs to do, and she promises to follow through. He writes her a note informing her that he will have a boat available in the morning for their escape. And he hands it over to the night receptionist, telling her to only give it to Amber. Amber wakes up and checks her phone for messages. Tony walks in unexpectedly, and the receptionist hands them a letter about the helicopter. Tony tells Amber to pack her belongings and leave. Tony came across Pepe's letter here. They board the helicopter later, while Pepe waits at the port. Tony hands Amber a $100 bill and instructs her to pay the bellboy. The envelope is actually a letter from Pepe, on which is written the location of his boat. The bellboy hands Pepe the letter, which he rips open to reveal the ring. Pepe runs towards the helicopter after the bellboy points him in that direction. Amber is in tears as the helicopter takes off and Pepe arrives. He tosses the ring into the sea, distraught. And this is where the movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it, as always until next time.